Welcome to Bhutan e-learning project. I am Kilayangden. Today's lesson is on figures of speech for Key Stage 2 for classes 4 to 6. Alright, before I start with my lesson, I would like to ask you a question. The question is right here. It reads, what is the figure of speech? Now, many of you know what is figure of speech. Many of you have been using figure of speech. Or maybe you didn't realize that it was figure of speech, but you were using figure of speech. It's because you write poem, you write different articles, you write essays. So in everything, to make it more beautiful, you have been using figure of speech. So let us now define what is figure of speech. So for your convenience and for you to know what is figure of speech, I have a definition for you all. A figure of speech is a word or phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal meaning. I'm sure you're having a doubt here. So let me give you an example. The trees are dancing. So I have an example for you here. It says, trees are dancing. Can you see tree dancing? The actual meaning, according to the sentence, says that the tree is dancing. So its literal meaning, the literal definition of the sentence gives you a meaning that the tree is dancing. But do tree really dance? I'm sure tree never dances. So it says that it has a separate meaning from its literal definition. So the separate meaning here is the branches or the leaves of trees are moving due to the wind. So now you understood what is figures of speech. Alright, now let us move on with 4 types of figures of speech. And I'm sure you have been using 4 types of figures of speech. Now let us see what are the kinds of figures of speech. There are only 4 kinds of figures of speech for your standard. For classes 4 to 6, it is enough to know just 4 kinds of speech. As you grow up with your standards, you will be learning more speech. So for now, you have to remember only 4 kinds of speech. Number 1 is simile. Number 2, it's metaphor. Number 3 is personification. And number 4, it is hyperbole. So simile here, metaphor here, personification here, and hyperbole. So these 4 are our 4 kinds of figure of speech for now. Alright, now let us go one by one. First we have simile. A simile is a figure of speech that makes a comparison using or showing similarities between 2 different things. And we will be using as or like. Compare 2 things using as or like, or bring the similarities using as or like. So examples are here for simile. I am as busy as bee. Sparkles like diamond. Hungry as a bear. Flat as a pancake. Hard as a rock. So see, I am comparing things using as or like. Let me share you more example. Our teachers are as brave as lion. A comparison between teacher and the lion using as. Her cheeks are red as a rose. Her cheeks are red like rose. I can use as here, I can use like here, because I am comparing her cheek with the apple or the rose, which is red in color. Alright, he is as funny as monkey. Again, I'm comparing a boy with a monkey using as or like. For now, I use as. I can even use like. He is funny like a monkey. The next example, the water well was as dry as bone. He is cunning as a fox. So these are the example of similes in which I have used like and as comparing things and bringing up the similarities. Alright, now let us go on with number 2. It's metaphor. And metaphor's definition. A metaphor is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things without using as or like. Make sure you understand, don't get confused. Simile, you use as or like. For metaphor, you don't use as or like. The simple example, the common example that we use is, she is the apple of my eye. Can she be an apple of your eye? No, right? So it is just a comparison, but we don't use any as, we don't use as or like. The other example, please listen very carefully. The snow is a white blanket. He is a shining star. Her long hair was flowing golden river. The children were fresh fruit at the beginning of the school. The flowing snowflakes are dancer. The calm lake was a mirror. So let me stick to one example here. He is a shining star. Does it mean that there is a shining star everywhere? No. I'm using metaphor. I'm comparing a successful boy with a shining star. But for now, I am not using as or like. He is a shining star, which means he is a superstar or he is a successful boy. Alright, so that's all about metaphor. Now let us go on with personification. One of the interesting part of figure of speech is personification, because in this what you do is you tend to give your as a human quality, your human quality to a non-living things. A figure of speech which gives the quality of a person to an animal or an object or an idea, it's called personification. The example, the slices of bread jumped out of the toaster, suddenly scaring me. Can a bread really jump out? So see how interesting it is. Now I will be sharing you many other examples. Listen very carefully so that you get clear idea of how we give human characters to non-living things. Justice is blind. Can Justice walk like this, being a blind? No, right? So this is what figure of speech is. A separate meaning from its literal meaning. Justice is blind. You are giving the character of being blind to a Justice. Her heart skipped a bit. The sun smiled down on them. The star winked. The city never sleeps. The flower danced in the gentle breeze. The fire swallowed the entire forest. So these are the example of personification in which you give your human qualities to the non-living things or any idea. Alright, now, last one is hyperbole. A figure of speech that uses exaggeration to express strong emotion, to make a point, or to evoke humor. Another example, I worked 1,000,000 miles to get here. Is there really 1,000,000 miles walking? Is there a way where you have to walk a miles? No, right? So this is what figure of speech, how you can play with your words using figure of speech. I have told you to clean your room 100 times. Can we literally say 100 times to somebody to clean the house or the room? So it is an exaggeration. I have 1,000,000 things to do today. Do you really have 1,000,000 things to do today? It is just an exaggeration, which means it is an hyperbole. My friend will kill me after knowing the truth. Will your friend really kill you just because you lied? Your friend won't. So this is just a separate meaning from its literal definition. Next Friday is never going to arrive. So see the exaggeration. Next Friday is coming. Else every time there is a Friday. But it is an exaggeration. Next Friday is never going to arrive. I am drowning in my own tears. Did you ever drown in your own tears? I cried, but I never got inside my tears. So this is called exaggeration. So these are the 4 kinds of figure of speech: simile, metaphor, personification, and hyperbole. Let's reflect back. Simile, compare things using as or like. Metaphor, compare or bring similarities without using as or like. Personification, give your character as a human to the non-living things. Hyperbole is an exaggeration expressing your strong feeling. So this is all about our figure of speech, the 4 kinds of figure of speech. Now, let us see when to use figure of speech. Now you must be thinking, I want to use figure of speech, it's really interesting. So I'll just give you a hint. Okay, my simple example here says, she thinks too much. A very dry example, right? Make it beautiful. Use figure of speech here. Okay, I'm going to use hyperbole here. She thinks too much. Using a hyperbole means exaggeration, expressing a strong feeling. She thinks too much. I'll transform this into a very beautiful sentence by saying, her brain works like a machine. So I have used hyperbole here. So my earlier sentence, she thinks too much, is a dry sentence. Using the hyperbole, the one kind of a figure of speech here, I made it beautiful by saying her brain works more than machine. The literal meaning, the actual meaning here is, yes, she thinks too much. But playing with the word, using a hyperbole here, it says her brain works more than a machine. So this is how you will be using your figure of speech. Another example, she is beautiful. A very normal sentence, right? So let us use simile here. She is as beautiful as blooming flower, which means she is beautiful, just like a blooming flower. So adding a ingredient to make your sentence beautiful using simile. So this is the power of figure of speech. It was windy. Another sentence here, very dry one. So let me give my character to the wind here. It was windy, so I'm going to use personification. The wind howled. So see, this is how I make the wind howled or give my character to wind. The classroom is noisy. Another simple example here. Using the power of figure of speech, we can do this. The classroom was a zoo. So you are using metaphor here. I hope now you understood what figure of speech is, when you will be using figure of speech, the power of figure of speech to make your articles more beautiful. Alright, now I have an assignment for you all. I hope you're with your book and a pen and you can list down your question and challenge yourself whether you understood the lesson or not. What is the figure of speech? I'm sure you already know. Explain figure of speech in your own words. So these are the questions for you all. Now you understood what is figure of speech, you understood 4 kinds of figure of speech and when to use it. You are rich with the examples also. Now for you, you have another assignment. It says, copy the following sentences in your notebook and write what figure of speech is it. Number 1, my heart is like a singing bird. Number 2, the darkness is about to pass. Number 3, that must have caused a million neutrons. Number 4, he has a heart of stone. Number 5, the flower nodded. Number 6, as wise as an owl. Number 7, my father is as strong as bull. Number 8, I have told you to stop 1,000 times. Number 9, the kitchen knife will take a bite of your hand if you don't handle it safely. So these are the 9 questions to challenge to see whether you have understood figure of speech or not. Thank you for watching. Thank you for learning. Bye-bye.